Hey guys, welcome back to Linda's Resin Room. So I got some new molds in the mail. Ordered this from Pouring Your Heart Out. This is a crystal tray, coaster, mold, whatever you want to call it. I have 95 gram of resin here. I have 45 of part B and 50 of part A. Now I put in just a little tiny bit of this crushed crystal. And I do mean just a little, because I'm going to do a bloom, but I wanted a little bit of the crystal in there and see how it turns out. Done it before and I added a little too much, so I thought maybe this time we'll just add just a little tiny bit. I'm going to mix this up, and then the inks I chose are the Let's Resin inks. I'm going to do orange, emerald green, and magenta. Don't know how those colors will look together, but that's what we're going to do. So guys, I'm going to mix this up, put it in the debubbler, and I'll be back when it's heated up and ready to go. I'll see you guys then. Okay guys, so I've got my resin and I've just checked the temp. I stir it first and then check your temp, 33.5. That way you get the correct temp. If you just check your temp and you haven't stirred it, it's going to be a little cooler on the outside than it is down in the resin. So I'm going to just measure out 10 gram of white because I'm actually going to draw petals today. Can you believe it? I'm not going to just pour it from the cup. I just want to try a different kind of bloom. Y'all know I have to have it right on the money. I can't let it be over to drive me crazy. Okay, there we go. 10 gram. Let's move that out of the way. Now, hopefully, this is going to be enough resin to fill this up enough that we can do a bloom. Because it does have to go down in that edge there. I only made 95 gram, so it's spread out. I think it's going to be plenty. I don't know what color back I want to put. Red, green, and yellow. Or I mean, red, orange, and green. I did think about yellow because I love the color yellow. But yellow is so light, it doesn't show up half the time. And the Let's Resin yellows. It has quite a few yellows, but I find the only one is the medium yellow or the dandelion yellow, I think, that really shows up. The rest of them are just too light and you can't see them. They kind of disappear. Alright, let's let this cup drain over here on my mat. And let me wipe this stick off. When you do a bloom, you want to decant around 33 to 36 degrees Celsius because I'm going to try to pop a few little bubbles in there. If you let it be too cold, the white can't sustain and float because the resin's not thick enough, so it all goes to the bottom. Get it too hot and then it's already curing and it won't spread and bloom. Okay, let's drop our inks. I'm going to do green in the center and get it open. Alright, just one drop, 2 drops of green. That's a pretty green. Now orange, and that was emerald green. Ooh, these inks kind of drop out really quickly, don't they? And then I'm going to do the magenta. Hopefully this doesn't muddy up. And I'll let them move because they're going to pull to the center. There we go. All right, now let's get our bloom paste. Love bloom. Drop your inks first because you want them to have time to finish moving before you add your white. Now, I like the bloom paste by pouring your heart out. You can turn this all the way and open it completely, but that's too much white. But if you'll open it half of the turn, and then you'll let this bubble out to the end, and then just let it drop on its own, 1 drop per 10 gram, that's all you need. You end up with a perfect bloom just about every time, unless you leave heavy spots in certain areas, and then it will blob that area, which is what this is liable to do, because anytime there's a start-stop point, that start-stop point is heavier and it can blob. So you have to really pull those through. And I'll show you when we do it. And make sure my white's not streaky. You want your white to look like skim milk. So you want to be able to see your stick through this when you tilt it. See how you can see that stick and it kind of looks like skim milk? That's exactly where you want it. I think my inks have stopped moving. I'm going to pop a few of those little bubbles in there. All right. Now, I'm going to get a little on my stick. I'm just going to try to draw some blooms. Or draw little petals. I'm not great at this. So, we'll see how it turns out. And I'm just dragging it across through there. My white's going to get tinted as I'm dragging this through the color. Because I'm dragging it through the ink. I went too heavy down in there. It really just kind of needs to float across the top, basically. But like I said, I'm not the greatest at drawing petals. But this kind of looks more like a rose when you do it this way. And unless I start trying to practice, I'll never get it down. And you can do your petals any way you want, any design you want them. I feel like I need a few more over here. Like my color is a little further out, maybe. Okay. Now, take my dotting tool, and I'm just going to try to pull around all those start-stop points, and hopefully they don't blob too bad on me. Kind of hard to see where they're all at. I'm just kind of guessing here. So I have no idea where some of these start and stop. I just want to pull that white around in the center a little bit there. I feel like I could use just a little more. Alright, I'm going to leave it alone. See how it does? Because who knows? We'll let that do its thing. Come back when it's ready to put it back on, and then we'll demold. I'll see you guys for step 2 in a bit. Alright guys, so this is cured up. So what I've done is I have mixed up 4 ounces of resin. And I am going to, it's been sitting for a minute, so it's starting to warm up. I'm going to put some of this Rakujan Orange eye candy. I think that will be a pretty background for this. Get a spoon here. I am going to put a nice little heap in there, maybe not much. Okay, now if you do use eye candy products, there is a link and a code in the description box that you can get 20% off of any eye candy products. That does include their molds. I didn't even know they made molds until about a month or 2 ago, and I seen that they were making molds now. I do love their pigment colors. I've got a lot. I think I have all their pastes, and I have a lot of their powders. There's still quite a few I don't have, but they are so pretty. I really thought this color would help bring that orangey pink color out in the center. Okay. Mix that mica powder up good. Okay. Isn't that pretty? Now this may not fill this mold completely full because it's a good size mold, but I think it will fill enough to do a good backing on the back. Yeah, there we go. I hope my balloon looks pretty. It looks pretty on this side. I just hope it didn't blob on the other side where I did draw the color in with the stick. Put the white in there that way and drew the petals instead of pouring them in from the cup. You can also do your petals by using a piping bag. I think most people do use a piping bag when they do their petals. I just have a harder time with it because once it starts getting low, then you have to readjust, and I'd just rather use it by pouring out from the cup. But isn't that pretty color? It's like a pinkish orange, and I thought that would work perfect with our red and orange in this piece. I hope it looks pretty anyways once it's cured. Alright, let's clean this stick off. Give that just a minute, let it move. Alright, this is orange. I have all my colors separated by color, all my pigment pastes and powders. So I put it back in its orange section. Now I'm just going to take a little heat to this. Pop some of those bubbles. Be careful not getting too close to the edge. See how that's pulling into the center? That's how bloom works. You put the white, and when it starts to cure and the resin's moving, it pulls it into the center, so it pulls that white this way, and that's what forms your bloom. That's why if you go around in a circle, it blooms. If you go straight up and down, it doesn't have anywhere but to go straight down toward the center, and you'll end up with blobs. So, around, so it can pull in. Alright guys, we'll let this cure up, and I will see you guys back for the demold. I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so this has cured up. I'm curious to see what it looks like, but a little nervous too because I drew the petals in, and by the way I drew them in, sometimes they blob if you don't pull them all the way through. So I'm worried I'm going to have a bunch of blobs. Plus I put the crystal in there and I'm worried it's going to hide my design. But let's see. Oh, it didn't blob at all. That is really pretty. Ooh, I like that. That is really pretty. Alright guys, I'll see you back for the next video. That's probably my husband calling, trying to drive me crazy. I'll see you then. Bye.